Thank you, Reece. Again, hopefully everybody can hear me at the back. I will project as much as I can. Thank you for coming along this morning for this session. We're going to try and stick pretty well as best we can to the agenda and the timeframes that we have. Please ask questions as we go through. As Reece said, this Act, the Workers' Comp Legislation Amendment Act 2018, came about from a number of parliamentary reviews and a number of issues and things like that that have been identified through those. So if the first part of this is the Law and Justice Committee, which met in 2016 for the first review of the Workers' Comp scheme, which was actually not the first review that had been done by the Law and Justice Committee, but was the first review post the creation of CIRA, iCare and Safe Work New South Wales. Coming out of that, met in November 2016 with a report published in March 2017, which had 26 recommendations, and a number of those related directly to dispute resolution in the workers' comp space. Government then published its response to those and provided its response to the committee in October 2017, supporting in principle or supporting all of those recommendations. Following on from that, Minister Dominello, as the responsible minister, asked the Central Policy Office of Department of Finance Services and Innovation to commence a review of the workers' comp dispute resolution system. Now that was undertaken by Central Policy Office as an independent review, independent from CIRA, the Commission, WIRO, iCare, and those other stakeholders that had a part to play in the dispute resolution process. Central Policy Office, that was in November 2017. Their consultation included the issuing of a discussion paper for which they received, I believe, something in the region of 37 submissions. That closed on the 16th of February in 2018. And subsequent to that, Central Policy Office provided advice to the government around what should happen in terms of the dispute resolution, for which then Minister Dominello, in an announcement on the 4th of May, announced that there would be changes to dispute resolution and legislation brought to Parliament. Another key part of the Act, the Amendment Act for this year, is the changes to PIAWI. Now, there has been a lot of commentary and a lot of examples of how complex the PIAWI calculations are, so the pre-injury average weekly earnings. CIRA undertook extensive consultation following the 2015 Benefit Reforms Act, where there was a regulation making power put in under Section 58A. It was through that consultation determined that the regulation making power was not sufficient to deal with the issues that existed in terms of PIAWI and the complexity with regard to PIAWI. Subsequent to that, CIRA engaged Professor Tanya Swarden from the University of Newcastle. A number of people in this room were then involved in that consultation and working group and met with Professor Tanya Swarden. Her report was published in November 2018, which recommended legislative amendment to address the complexity around the calculation and the determination of PIAWI. The government then brought the two major changes together to then bring them into the Workers' Comp Legislation Amendment Bill 2018, which is now an Act. So just recapping what was announced by the Minister on the 4th of May. So Minister Dominello said that we're going to improve support services, simplify the processes and remove duplication. Deliver the one-stop shop for resolving disputes within the workers' compensation space. There is the Law and Justice Committee met again this year to look at a one-stop shop across personal injury schemes, both the motor accidents and the workers' compensation, but this is purely focused on the workers' compensation. The reforms also included that injured worker inquiries and complaints will be directed to WIRO, and that employer inquiries and complaints would be directed to CIRA, and removing so that WIRO will no longer be doing employer inquiries and complaints, and CIRA will no longer be doing the same in regard to injured workers. Now, those changes that were announced back in 2000, on the 4th of May this year, are tied up very closely with the whole change to the dispute resolution process. Works Comp Commission will undertake all dispute resolution, removing those functions. Okay. Following the 4th of May's announcement, the legislation, the bill was developed. A number of people in the room here were consulted on that development of the bill and provided input both on the Piaui side as well as the dispute resolution side. The outcomes and the objectives that the government set for this is that it was going to be simple. Simplify the process for dispute resolution. Simplify the process for Piaui. Try and increase the level of transparency in both of those key areas, and then introduce and ensure that any of the changes are fair and equitable. Now, equitable doesn't mean that everybody is treated equally as such. It means that there's the outcome is as equitable as possible that we can have in these processes.